the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Welcome back to the Tim Glemkowski Show on Relevant Radio. We're here today with Sister Gianna of the Resurrection, who is a Carmelite sister here, and she has an incredible story of a connection to servant of God Michelle Duppong. And what's so powerful about, if you haven't heard of this new servant of God, in 2022, the Diocese of Bismarck opened her cause, and she passed away of cancer in 2015 when she was 31 years old, and she was a laywoman who dedicated her life to evangelization. She was actually a focus missionary, and she really had an incredible witness of joy and closeness to Jesus and offering her life to him while suffering with cancer. And she's, like a millennial here from the United States of America, which is just kind of incredibly powerful. So, Sister, you knew servant of God Michelle Duppong personally, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she was one of my dearest friends. It's such a joy to be able to say that. And I loved her dearly. I still miss her. That was a painful death when she died. So I was in college. I was like, whoa, I just came back from World Youth Day, feeling this stir in my heart. I began getting involved in Newman Center. And then Michelle was on the inaugural focus team coming to our university, South Dakota State University. And she scooped me up right away for discipleship, meeting weekly with her. And she's like, commitment to prayer, like come to our holy hour. You're going to pray every single day. I think it was like half an hour of silence. And, I think we were called as students to do like an hour of, maybe 30 minutes silence and the rosary or Lectio Divina. So she really inculcated that thirst and commitment to prayer and the regularity of that prayer, and helped me get through the stages of, I don't want to pray. And that's where my vocation was really born, with her encouraging me. She introduced me to different religious during college. She was so dear. Like she was a very pure, beautiful person. And I remember looking at her with awe at her purity, but it wasn't I tell people, like, it wasn't the goody two shoes type of like, oh my goodness, she's so unbearable. Like, I can't.
Just floating kind of across campus, like a real person. A
real person. And where she really floored me was in her humility. So, we would be at these group events for focus, like large group events, where you're expecting like a lot of people who are on the fringe, not really sure about being Catholic. Maybe they're not even Catholic at all, and they're just curious. And she would be the one that would come into the room. She's really quiet. It's like she wasn't like life of the party.
Not a big personality. Yeah.
No.
Not like Vera, our youngest. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. She was so quiet. She wasn't a great public speaker. She'd tell me, like, you know what? I have to do this, but I'm not really gifted at it. But Jesus needs my voice. Like she would say things like that. So anyway, she'd come into a big room, large group, find the person who had the hardest heart or the one that didn't want to be there. And she would just go and love them, but without, again, them feeling like smothered, or she had a way of disarming people through her great joy and her simplicity. Like, she knew she didn't have to have this larger than life St. Paul type like oration skills. Like, she was just herself. She was really, really beautiful.
I didn't expect almost. This is interesting. I'm making this connection sort of as you're talking. So we talked yesterday to Sister Sean Pauline, right? And it comes out right before we're talking. Oh, actually, I'm named after John Paul, and I met him personally, and all these different, and she has this very close connection to John Paul. And then, we're talking kind of before we go on. Oh, actually, I knew Michelle Duppong very well. And, she was like one of your best friends. Like, you were kind of very, very close, and in some ways two very powerful witnesses to our time, but also very different saints, right? Like, one is probably one of the most personally talented, this John Paul is this great man and orator, and, sort of like the Pope, and, this young Pope, and changes the church for 30. And Michelle, in a very kind of sounds like quiet and humble way, just living out that lay vocation. but similarly, just focused on Jesus and sort of that. There's that image from Saint Therese of, that like sanctity is kind of like the garden. There's all these different types of flowers in it, right?
Yes.
What remind me of this image?
I love that. Yeah, she says, some of us are little violets, some of us are the bright red rose. I think she compared herself to like the very, very humble, fragile little thing low to the ground, whatever flower that is. So yeah, we need all of them, right?
Yeah, and I think they kind of witness to that. And maybe you could share a little bit for our listeners, like, what was it like to experience? Were you in the convent already when she was diagnosed and began to suffer, and then eventually passed away? And her funeral, like what's that been like then to start seeing people talk about your friend and say, we think this was a saint. Like we think that she, like, her case is with Rome now. You know, and what was that? What's that all kind of been like?
Oh, it's just totally wild. It's and expected. It's like both in the same breath. So I entered the convent. I was with her for 2 years, and then my friendship kind of transferred to my family and her family, and so my blood sister got to know her really well. And I mean, in the convent, like, we can write Christmas letters, and she would write. I have letters from her, and I went back to South Dakota to visit, and she drove, 6-7 hours to come and stay a couple days at my parents' farm, and we had a great time. And she's like, I found someone, I'm dating somebody, I think he's the one. And she also said, please pray for me, I'm having some health problems, like really nonchalant when I said goodbye. I said, okay, I will pray for you. And I think it was about a month later when she was diagnosed. And at that point, and through that year, which I stayed really up to date on all of the Caring Bridge entries that she and her family did, and all the sisters too, they're very devoted to her too, because we really journeyed during that year. And my experience was, okay, this is when she really shone by the grace of God. Like, she loved St. Paul, and run so as to win was her big thing. And this is where it was like going, gone. Like, she was shooting up Mount Carmel, we could say, like, to Calvary. Like, Calvary was like opening up, exploding inside of her, and she was embracing the cross, and it was remarkable, really remarkable. And she just she preached with that witness, I think, is like, she doesn't have all these amazing writings and all the books that she wrote during that year. Like, she preached with her life, which is so ordinary and extraordinary. So when she died on Christmas, I immediately wrote down all of my memories, because I thought, this girl's gonna be a saint. Like,
no way. Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I gotta do this for her parents, Marianne and Ken. So, I wrote down all, I think during that month, because her birthday is January 25th, which she loved, conversion of St. Paul.
Yeah, she passed away on Christmas, December 25th, 2015. Her birthday was a month later. Did they use all those stories then in her cause when they were doing all the research? Did you send it in with the,
yes,
I forgot the word for it. Yeah.
Postulator. Yeah. I was like, I got, it was 7 years later. I got all my stuff ready to send to the postulator priest. So yes, people are like, oh, did you know when you were friends, like, she would be a saint? And yes and no. Like, it's responding to a grace of the moment that you're just, like, I think her special gift is that to embrace that redemptive suffering that last year. I read this new book, which is amazing, and I'm in some of the stories, and I'm like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. Yeah. But I learned a lot more. Like, her pain level, she always minimized it, because she's like, well, a pain level 10 is like Jesus on the cross. So I learned a lot more in that book. It's like, you're friends with someone, but there's still a mystery to you. So, and as far as like, since the day she died until her cause was open, there wouldn't be a day that went by where I did not talk to her. Like, just, she was intimately my friend. I felt her helping me in my religious life. And I was like, Michelle, what's up with that? You know, you were a lay woman. Jesus wanted you all for yourself. And she's like, the complementarity of the vocations, you know, like she's helping me in my religious vocation. And I was able to make final vows during that period of time. And then when her cause opened, it's like, wow, she belongs to the world now. That was really neat. Really, really neat. And I still feel very close to her, but I'm like sharing her with so many. And people who don't expect to be grabbed by her, like, a few months back, I was, had a volunteer working with me, and she happened to bring her sister, who the volunteer had mentioned, you know, my sister's, she's kind of fallen away. Like, I'm not sure how she's, you know, never been around sisters. And we're in my office for like 1 minute. I meet her, and she looks at my desk and she's like, who's this woman? Like, who's, and it was a picture of Michelle, and I told her, and she started to cry.
Yeah.
And she was really embarrassed. And I said, don't worry, this happens a lot. Like, Michelle's choosing you. She wants to be your friend.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it happened for me, is I just like encountered her story, and she looks like someone I went to high school with, you know, and just like all of a sudden found myself very choked up, kind of encountering her story, and like, what is going on with me? And I'm probably more emotional than some men, you know, I can get a little bit verklempt, but there's a great documentary on Michelle's story that Focus and the University of Mary, I think, put out together. And then this book as well, too. I'll have Gavin find all these and put them in the show notes on relevantradio.com and on the Relevant Radio app.
That was the best of the week on Relevant Radio. The best way to listen to the best of the week is on the Relevant Radio app. Free and always free. Download and share the #1 free Catholic app today in the App Store.